Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're back for not our first impressions, but we're going to be here and we're going to be talking about the question, should you still buy this fragrance right here, Azzaro Chrome EDT in 2025, okay? So Azzaro Chrome, funny enough, this is one of the fragrances that is actually older than I am, right? So it was dropped in 1996. So we're going to go through our smell test and our initial reaction of this newest box. See, first off, has it been reformulated? Does this scent quality and scent profile, scent DNA still last the test of time? Now, funny enough, at my job, one of the youngsters, one of the kids actually has this fragrance. They brought me a cap of it and they were like, "Hey coach, do you recognize this?" And I took a whiff. I was like, that smells like Azzaro Chrome, and it ended up being this. And then I was at my fragrance shop and it was a perfect time. I got it as a cheapie, and we're gonna go through our initial smell test and we're gonna see if in 2025, first off, the scent is still good, it's still quality enough, should you still wear it, and does it still have a place in your collection 29 years later, almost thereabout. So, all right, we got it, let's try it and let's give it a rating. Here we go. All right, there it is, Azzaro Chrome EDT. Now, this isn't the only fresh Azzaro Chrome fragrance. They've dropped Chrome EDT. I think they've dropped the Parfum as well. So there have been other flankers that have dropped from the line as well. But this one was one of the earliest ones out there. So it does give that vintage look. And I mean, this was one I remember having a while, like when I was early in my collecting days, when I was a teenager. I remember having this when, I was growing up, and I liked it. I thought it was a nice intro fragrance, but nonetheless, we got it. Got to test the strip. We got the cap. So again, the youngster sent me this cap and I was like, oh, okay, recognize that. So we got it. Let's first off test its initial smell. But before we get into it, let's talk about the scent DNA and the note breakdown. So some of the notes we're going to be getting. First off, Azzaro Chrome is going to be a fragrance that is known to be a fresh, citrusy, aromatic. It's going to have white florals, and it's going to be that fresh fragrance. Okay, so this one's going to be for our fresh lovers out there. It's going to have main notes of bergamot. It's going to have some lemon, some rosemary, and then it's also going to have that pineapple. It's going to have that floral jasmine, oak moss, and then you're going to get that musk, cedar, sandalwood, and you're going to get that tonka bean in the base. Okay, so really nice breakdown of notes. All right, so the first thing, we'll go through our initial smell test. We got the bottle. Here we go. Nice straightforward atomizer. Nice. Gives that fresh out the shower, soapy accord I'm getting. Nice invigorating freshness, but you can definitely tell this is not a modern fragrance. It's a little bit more vintage, a little bit more old school, kind of what you would imagine, a guy who was a blue collarish, maybe even white collar worker, but he wasn't, he's building his career up. He wants to set a nice first impression at his new job. I would imagine this would be a good one for that. Just off some of the smells I'm getting, some of the nostalgia. Really, really, really nice, fresh fragrance. And this is a cheapie. I mean, $30, you're gonna get this off most discounters, all right? So we got that. Initial smell test is good. Nice, fruity, fresh, citrusy, bergamot, lemon, fresh, zesty fragrance opening. All right, now we go off the strip here. Here we go. 4 sprays on the strip. Let that air out. I still like the fragrance, honestly. I still enjoy it. It's still really good. Even all these years later, I actually quite enjoy it. And I've gained an affinity for the fresh fragrances. I talked about this before that, when I was a collector, when I first started getting into collecting, I only wanted the most aromatic, sweet, gourmand fragrances, but I've learned to kind of gain an appreciation for fresh fragrances. This one's actually got a nice level of cleanliness too. All right, here we go. Off the strip, actually, the sillage, the projection is still good off the strip too. So this isn't one that its performance hasn't dipped. It's not smelling reformulated, but definitely has that degree of masculinity, has nice, clean, crisp, put together sort of fragrance accord to it. Feels like this one's gonna also last you a pretty solid amount of hours. I think from what most collectors have talked about, it's about 5 to 7, so that's a good lasting power, and I can smell that. Even for this being the Eau de Toilette concentration now, it's not gonna be the loudest fragrance, I don't believe. I think it's gonna be one that is gonna be close to the skin, probably one where if you're talking, you're in a meeting, or if you're communicating, you can definitely smell that person's presence as you're close by them, but it's not gonna be one of those that kind of chokes people out, or it's gonna be pronounced when you walk into a room. But nonetheless, definitely getting that lemon, you're getting that jasmine, getting that oak, that coriander, and then you're getting that musk as well. So if you like those musky, citrusy, fresh fragrances, I think this is definitely one for you. I think projection is good. I think performance is good. I think versatility. This is definitely going to be your daily driver fragrance. I think this one's going to be really good for work, really good for school. Also, I think this one will be a good one. Especially if you're not trying to spend too much, if you're not trying to break arm and leg for your fragrance. I think this would be a good one. I think you can even wear this to the gym or to the store even too. But nonetheless, really good. I actually still like it. I think this one's still valid. So definitely has a place in your collection, especially if you like cheap, fresh fragrances. I think this one will definitely be a great vintage one to pull out. This would be one that could create a conversation, especially if you are talking to possible stakeholders or older gentlemen. Oh, you still have Azzaro Chrome in your collection? I think this could be good. Now we do our skin test for it. Here we go. Get off the skin. Yep, skin test checks out. Down again, a little bit more of that cardamom, getting more of that woods and musk, getting that woody oak. It's good. It's really good. So now let's talk about again age of the fragrance. While it was dropped in 1996, I think any man, any male could wear it. I think the teenage guy who wants to get his first fragrance, but he wants some, maybe sort of something that's not so expensive, or maybe you as parents are trying to get your kid his first fragrance. I think this one could be a really good, fresh, clean option for him. I think the guy in his teens, late teens, going into his 20s, I think this would be a good option for you, right? As a fresh daily driver fragrance, especially if you're just starting to get into fragrance, you really don't know what your style is yet. I think this would be a good one to add into your collection. $30, you'll have a nice cologne. I think a guy in his 20s could get this, especially whether you're in school or maybe you're fresh out of school. You got a fresh daily driver at your disposal, 1, 2, and you're out the door. And then even a guy in his late 20s and going into your 30s and 40s, 30s and 40s, it could be one of those, you maybe had this back in the day and you don't want to get rid of it. You don't care to try a whole bunch of different things. I think this one is still valid. Almost 30 years later, this one's still valid, still to this time. But nonetheless, Azzaro Chrome EDT, definitely one still valid in the collection. Still one that has a place, especially for your first day drivers. You don't want to spend, you don't want to waste up too much of your Aqua di Gio. You don't want to waste up too much of your expensive niche fragrances. This would be a nice blind pull for you. But then, nonetheless, guys, that'll do it for today. Another first impressions, another fragrance added to the collection, another breakdown done for you. Again, that'll do it. But appreciate all you guys who listen and tapping with this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're just finding me. Welcome. Appreciate you stopping by. But that'll do it for today. We're still building the collection up. Remember, a fragrance doesn't have to cost you an arm or a leg. So you can be able to build a great fragrance collection and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money for it. All right. That'll do it for today. See you on the next one. Much love.